Okay, so what you got?
The monster.
But what is it?
It is my very first blood sugar machine.
Blood sugar machines used to look like that?
Yeah, back in the day when the dinosaurs roamed around, yas.
Okay, so how many years ago has it been since you had that, since you got it?
39 and 3/4.
Okay, so how old were you when you started using that?
Oh, mercy. I don't even remember. I was diagnosed at 10, and there weren't machines at that time. That was in 1981. That was when you put some urine in a little chemistry like tube and plopped that little tablet down in it and dreaded the color orange showing up, which would mean you had a lot of sugar in your urine.
Okay, so that's your first meter?
Absolutely.
How did you use it?
It took a whole of 5 minutes. Would turn it on. I don't remember what it would tell me, but it flipped this thing down, and it had a calibration strip that would fit in here, and then no, it would fit there, and the test strip would fit there. So you stick your finger, put the blood on the strip, mash the timer. I think it took like 2.5, 3 minutes, I think. But if my blood sugar was over 240, then it would take extra time, which would be up to 5 minutes, if I remember right. I can be wrong sometimes.
Okay, what about one of your more recent meters, like what you might have in your purse?
Oh. Please stand by. This is a generic type pharmacy meter, and this is what this one looks like.
Yeah.
Only takes 30 seconds. I've got one in my bedroom. 30 seconds, Bridget, hello. This one takes 5, and I've got one I keep in my bedroom that takes 5 seconds, sorry.
Yeah. And so how do you use that one, the one that you just showed me?
Very good question. Takes the tube out of the little thingamawater, stick it in there, put blood on the strip. That thing.
Okay, so you take the strip out.
Put it in there, put blood on the end, and it takes a whole 5 seconds. Holy cow, who would have known?
Yeah. And what about what you use now?
The ever-loving.
What is that?
It's called a Dexcom, and it's the G6. Yay! It's a continuous glucose meter, and it reads my blood sugar. I don't remember, every 5 minutes, I believe. And right now I'm at 180, and I'm in range for myself. So, yeah, yay!
And which one do you like the best?
I love my continuous glucose meter. I was very hesitant to go on it because as I have gotten older, I am finding out that I'm not easy to adjust to change very much, but I'm thankful that I did. I don't regret it at all.
Yeah. Is it easier to use your Dexcom than your other meters that you've had?
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you, yes. Gives me more freedom. If I don't want to carry my ginormous purse in somewhere, I don't have to. My purse holds holds this, and insulin, and oh mercy, glucose tablets and sanitizing wipes. My purse holds a lot, and it's very bulky, and I have a little bit of freedom from choosing not to do that. Take it in everywhere I go.
Do you like not having to stick your finger all the time?
Oh mercy. Yes. When I was sticking my finger, I was checking every 2 hours. I have hypoglycemic unawareness, which is a fancy way of saying because of having diabetes for so long, it's hard for me to tell when my blood sugar is low. And a lot of times I'd be in the 40s or 50s before I was able to catch it just from sticking my finger.
And do you like being able to see how your blood sugar trends over a long period of time so that you're not just seeing little snapshots?
And yes.
Okay. So what was it like for you when you were diagnosed with diabetes at what, 10?
10. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so talk to me about that.
Oh. I had been sick. I don't know how long I had been sick, but I had been losing weight over time, and I noticed I was getting just extremely tired. I can still remember the tiredness that I was feeling. That was when my oldest nephew was maybe 1, 2.
Okay, so how old were you then?
I was 10. I was 10 at diagnosis. I don't remember what time frame, how old I was when all the symptoms first started.
But you remember being tired all the time and losing weight?
Losing weight, practically, I didn't do this. It felt like I did it, just turning on the water faucet in the kitchen and sticking my hand underneath the faucet. It's the dry mouth. It was very overwhelming. Urinating every few seconds, it seemed like.
So you had to drink a lot of water because you were always thirsty, your mouth was dry, and you had to use the bathroom all the time. Do you want to talk a little bit about why that is with type 1 diabetes?
Why that is. With type 1, the pancreas produces a hormone called insulin. With type 1 diabetes, the pancreas, it's not funny, but I try to make light of the situation. My pancreas went hitchhiking and didn't find its way back, which is a fancy way of saying that my pancreas does not produce any insulin whatsoever. So my body was using the glycogen stores in my liver, which your liver stores its own energy called glycogen, but it was burning that, which caused me to start spilling acetone or ketones in my urine, and to compensate for that was drinking fluids, just trying to keep up, just trying to stay alive. Yeah.
And so what happened when you started showing symptoms? Because we don't have anybody else in the family with type 1 diabetes. So how did you go about getting diagnosed? What does that story look like?
No one, like you just shared, no one in our family has type 1 diabetes. Didn't know none of my family members knew what diabetes was. I didn't know what diabetes was. Shoot, I was 10 years old. Wow. My granddaddy kept telling my mom that I was sick and she needed to take me to the doctor. And I can appreciate, she's a single parent with 3 kids, money was tight. I don't blame her for not taking me. I mean, we didn't know. She didn't know. The morning I woke up on the day I was diagnosed, I was in and out all day, in and out of consciousness. I remember waking up and my mother had fixed eggs and canned biscuits. And I don't remember being able to eat hardly any of it because I was staying so nauseated. She took me to my pediatrician. I don't remember going there. He sent me to the local ER, which was across the street at the time from his office. And my blood sugar registered, it was a little over 1,000. I don't remember the exact number. And so from there, went back home so Mom could pack us some clothes and headed to Birmingham, to the diabetes hospital in Birmingham.
What happened on the way there? How much do you remember?
As fate would have it, thank goodness my mom's boyfriend at the time was driving. Bless her heart, there's no way I can imagine what she was going through. He was going, I don't know how fast he was going, had no clue. Mother kept trying to tell him, slow down, slow down. You're gonna make us have a blowout. He's going, no, he won't. Well, sure enough, we had a tire blowout. And then here comes a truck driver. I haven't thought about this since Uncle Danny died. My uncle used to drive a truck. Truck driver had watched us with our flashers on going down whatever road, highway at the time, and he stopped and he picked up Mother and me and he took us to the diabetes hospital. And I don't remember going from his truck. I remember waking up on the elevator and he was carrying me. And he carried to my hospital room.
Okay, so how long were you in the hospital?
Oh my gosh. At least 2 weeks. I'm thinking maybe more. I don't really remember. I spent 3 days in a coma.
What was it like coming out of that?
Gosh. I don't really remember. I remember the endocrinologist at the time sitting on my bed, Dr. Livingston. Dr. Livingston, I presume. That's from a movie somewhere. Don't remember. Boop. He sat on my bed and told me that I had diabetes. I'm like, okay, and... But he told me that I was going to have to change my diet. And back then, prehistoric American Diabetes Association diet. No sweets, no fried food, blah, blah, blah. Smackety smack. Disposable insulin syringes had just been approved for using. Before, the disposable syringes had a metal needle and a glass syringe and you would boil it every so often. I don't know. Thank goodness I missed that. But the disposable syringes back then, the needles, I don't even remember how long the needles were. I can just remember being scared, just scared of having to stick myself with a long needle.
Yeah, but you learned how, didn't you?
Sure did.
What would have happened if you didn't?
Bye, look. Sorry. Y'all will get used to my humor, I hope. I would have died.
So, how are things different now?
Wow. No more putting pee in a test tube and plopping that annoying tablet in it, waiting for my urine to turn orange. Wow. Disposable syringes, the needles are probably a quarter of the size that they were back then. Lancets are not as long and they're not as thick as they were back then. And should have got my Autolet poo. That was a Lancet device back in the day.
I know what you're talking about. That one has a spring in it, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah.
I've still got my original Autolet.
I've seen that one before.
Oh, wow. I take much better care of myself.
Did you take care of yourself when you were younger? When you were a kid?
No, absolutely not. Didn't care. I didn't want diabetes. I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to keep living with diabetes. Took me 5 years of being non-compliant. It took me 5 years to finally get my head out of my butt and realize that life was more than just diabetes.
What about your insulin? Do you want to show me your pump?
Sure. The pump, I have a Mini Med, whatever brand this is, don't know. Catheter stays in my belly. I've tried using my legs and my arms, but I don't get a good absorption in either of those areas, so I've always stuck to my stomach. This insulin pump holds 300 units of insulin, has what's called basal rates, and the only thing that I can help people to understand what a basal rate is that if you've had a family member been in the hospital and you see the IV pump and it's set on one certain rate, that's similar to a basal rate with the exception that you can put in several different numbers or basal rates in here, and that takes trial and error.
So your basal rate, that's the amount of insulin that you get throughout the day to help keep your blood sugar stable and steady, right? To keep
Very
it from
good.
going up.
Yes.
And then your bolus, that's what you take when you decide to eat to cover what you eat, or if your sugar's high.
Very good, yes.
So what happens without insulin?
Mission control, we have a problem. I'll die. Without insulin, I will die. My pancreas does not make insulin anymore. Hasn't for almost 40 years.
How long do you think it would take for something like that to happen without insulin?
Ew. Morbid. I have no clue. Everybody's different. It may take a few days, it may take a week or so. Maybe a little longer, maybe a little less. I don't know.
Is it hard to afford insulin sometimes? Have we ever had issues with insurance or anything like that?
Well, of course we have. Life wouldn't be so exciting without issues. But yeah, seriously, yes, I had an incident just a few years back. I don't even remember. It had something to do with my insurance. And one bottle of insulin shelf price was over $300. And I use at least 3 bottles a month.
What about your diet? How does that look? So, I know both of us get diabetics can't have sugar, they can't have sweets, they can't have junk food. Because I see all the Dr. Peppers behind you that we keep. So, do you wanna talk a little bit about that? About what your diet looks like and.
Well, you see all these chins, don't you? I mean, but yeah, the ADA diet, American Diabetes Association diet, got put out to the side of the road years back, meaning not many people go by that one. The way I can explain it to people that still think along those lines, well, you can't have sugar, can't have potato chips, can't have cake, can't have this, blah, blah, blah. What I try to do is I ask the question, well, how do you know? Well, how does my body know if I'm eating a potato or an egg? Okay. If I eat an egg, my body's not going to say, oh, that's just an egg. My body has no way to tell that that's an egg. Same thing with a potato. Eat the potato. My body doesn't say, oh, that's a potato. Bodies act on how much carbohydrates how much sugar is taken in. Uh, and there are ways to compensate for that by just from years from doing it and looking at labels, how many grams of carbohydrates an item has, and then you take insulin to cover that. So your blood sugars don't shoot for the moon.
But you can pretty much eat what you want within reason, right?
Oh, well, yes. Yeah, yes.
What about some of the differences between type 1 and type 2 diabetes?
Type 1 diabetes, you have the type 1, it's a life, I shouldn't say life sentence, that's morbid. It's a lifelong thing. You have to use insulin, exogenous insulin, whether it's a syringe or whether it's pumped. It's one or the other. Type 2 diabetes, the pancreas still produces some sort of insulin. The body it's not enough for the body to keep up. How do I explain that? Help!
So, type 1 is where your pancreas completely quits for whatever reason. That reason's not always known. Could be from stress, could be from overuse, could be from your immune system attacking your pancreas for whatever unknown reason. Type 2, from my understanding, is where your body gets desensitized to the amount of carbohydrates and the amount of sugar that you're taking in. That could be for a lot of different reasons. Maybe it's with your diet, maybe it's just with certain hormones. It happens a lot with hormonal disorders. But type 2 is where your pancreas sort of gets desensitized to the amount of glucose that you're trying to regulate, so your pancreas starts producing more insulin to try and cover the amount of glucose, and then over time you get desensitized to the amount of insulin, and it just doesn't work as well. So for type 2, you've got different medications, usually ones that help manage the glucose.
Thank you. I was getting jumbled on my word. Thank you. Very good.
Might not have explained that perfectly, but I think that kind of covers the gist of it.
For people that have diabetes and are aware of those little A1C levels, when they first came out and when I was a teenager, when I was non-compliant, mine usually were in the 14s, if not higher, compared to, being compliant for many, many years. I have rarely been over 7. My last one was 5.8, and my practitioner got on to me because she said that was too low, and she's right.
So what does a normal A1C look like for somebody without diabetes?
7 or lower, I think.
I think normal's about 7.
And what that means, the A1C is, sorry, all this respiratory stuff has my mind going. An A1C tests the amount of sugar on red blood cells over the last 3 months. The higher the number on the A1C, the higher the average of your blood sugar has been over those 3 months. The lower the number, the lower your sugar has been. We keep a chart on the refrigerator that gives us the equivalence of what an A1C number is to blood sugars.
Okay, so have you had any major issues or problems from your type 1 diabetes for having it for how long?
39 3/4 years. I have neuropathy in both legs and both feet. Part of it is painful neuropathy, and part of it is I have lost most of the sensation in my feet, and I have it in my hands as well.
Well, how do you get neuropathy from having type 1 diabetes?
The long-term blood sugars being high, like consistent 240 or higher, it damages the nerves in the entire body, as I have learned over time. It's not only affected my legs, my feet, my hands. I've lost a lot of nerve function in this ear, so I'm very hard of hearing in this ear. It's affected my stomach as well. I do have gastroparesis, which is a slowing of the contents in the stomach, meaning I digest food a lot more slowly than people without it. And I started spilling, there's a big old word, microalbuminuria. Ooh!
What does that mean?
That's spilling small amounts of protein in the urine. I'm on medication for that. Been on that medication, you're soon to be 23 years. And I've been on medication for my neuropathy for about that same amount of time. And I developed cataracts at an early age. Let's see. It's 2016, 15, I don't know. 6 or 7 years ago. And I had those removed.
Any other major issues because of your diabetes?
I don't think so. Did I leave anything out?
I don't think so.
Okay. Thank you.
What about when you had me? What did that look like with diabetes?
Wow. When I was pregnant, my insulin requirement went up to 3 times of what it normally was prior to getting pregnant. And baby, well, when you were born, your blood sugar was too low.
Yeah. Why did your insulin requirement go up? When you were pregnant?
Hormones of pregnancy. They don't work well with insulin.
Did that take a while to go back to normal after you had me?
I don't remember. It's a good question. I don't remember. Your pancreas was still producing too much insulin because of my blood sugars not being exactly where they should have been. Not from non-compliance, just, I don't know, stress, work, I don't know. Anyway, and because of that, your blood sugar was low. Babies of diabetic mothers, their pancreas compensates for the mother's blood sugar. So they regulate their blood sugars with their pancreas, their own pancreas. And when they're born, their pancreas is still releasing all that extra insulin. And yeah, the babies of diabetic mothers usually have a challenge with low blood sugar.
Did I weigh more when I was born? I know I was a preemie, but...
You were 11 weeks early. You should have weighed 2 pounds and 2 ounces, and because of the diabetes, that was an extra for you. You weighed 4 pounds and 4 ounces.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to talk about with type 1 diabetes? Is it hard or is it easy to manage nowadays?
For me, for the most part, it's so much easier to manage just because of the continuous glucose monitor and my choice of wearing an insulin pump. Basically, since I've worn the pump, I've been in a pretty good spot. Oh, sorry. Fidgety.
Is there anything else that you want to say to anybody that might have type 1 diabetes or that might be newly diagnosed with it?
Don't give up. It's easy to want to give up. I get it. It's easy to want to stay in bed and pull the covers over your head and wish for it to go away, but it won't. Check out diabetes camp. If you're a young one, if you're a teenager, and if you meet the age requirements for a diabetes camp, I would highly recommend that. Not just for yourself, but your parents too. I used to be a volunteer nurse director for our state diabetes camp, and I miss doing that. But yeah, I would recommend that. Educate yourself. Things come with trial and error. Wow, find somebody to connect with, if you can, that has type 1 diabetes. Even if I had a pen pal that had type 1 diabetes, it's just to be able to relate to somebody that has it and they know what you're going through. Yeah. Don't give up.